Hi there, I'm Stacy, the encaustic mixed media artist behind Studio Stacy. Encaustic literally means to burn in. So I paint with beeswax and a torch, and because it's mixed media, pretty much anything else I can get my hands on. If you're new around here, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Consider subscribing and joining this artsy community. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, which helps me get introduced to more like-minded artsy folks like yourself. Morning all. It is very hazy and very hot out there this morning. We are under a lovely heat advisory here. The kind of heat advisory where they warn you to not go outside. So apparently we're supposed to get like up to 103 today, which is insane. And I don't know if you can hear in my voice, but I'm still battling a sinus infection. So that's fun. But at any rate, I have lots of medicine and hoping to feel better soon. Not why I picked up the camera to tell you about my sinus infection. Picked up the camera to let you know that in this week's video, I'm hoping to finish this painting, which is why I'm here in the studio. So hoping that by the end of this video, this painting will be done, but today's plan is to actually try to really take and look at this tulip poplar tree sketch with a critical eye and make sure it's completely good to go, and then trace it onto this tengucho really thin paper. And then eventually I'll be embedding it into this painting, and then eventually doing the final details on the tree and all of that stuff. But first things first, let's take a look at this sketch and make sure that it is really finalized. Sorry for that dinging. That was my phone. I forgot to put it on silence. I think you could tell when I was cutting this tengucho paper, I was cutting it slightly bigger than the actual tree sketch, which is the same size as the actual painting. And I'm cutting the paper bigger than that so that it hangs over the edges of the painting, and when I embed it, the entire paper isn't going to be embedded into the painting. Now, because this is such a thin paper, I probably don't really need to concern myself with that, as because it's so thin, you're not really going to be able to see any edges on this paper whatsoever. But I thought, you know, since it's going to be the final layer of the background, I'm going to paint over this sketch. But since it's going to be the final layer of the background, I thought, why not just be safe? And since I have the larger size paper, why not make it slightly larger than the painting? Hopefully that makes sense. And if I think about it, I'll show you that when I go to embed this. But first, I'm going to get this tree sketch traced onto this paper. And I should say, if you saw the start of this painting, part one of this painting, painting the background, you'll know I didn't do that with the leaf prints, that there are edges on there, that the entire leaf print isn't embedded into the, rather, how do I say this? The entire large piece of paper is not embedded onto the background, that there are individual edge lines along those leaves, and you can't see that. So, you know, it's not something to be majorly concerned with, especially on thinner paper and rice paper that is fairly easy to embed into encaustic, but I just thought I would mention that and throw that out there. All right, one more thing before I start tracing this, and that is I've decided to use the Faber-Castell Pitt Pens India ink to trace over this. And I know I said if you missed that video, I'll try to remember to link it up here, somewhere down below, somewhere over here, I'd hope, or there. Now I don't know. At any rate, I'll link it up there somewhere. And it is a video testing out pens, pencils, things like that on this tengucho paper and then embedding them into the encaustic medium. And I said, I think in that video, that I really loved how the pencil looked, but I'm gonna go with the Pitt pens on this one because there are some darker portions in the background and the pencil doesn't show through some of those darker portions. And also because the tree trunk on this is gonna be such a dark brown tree trunk, I don't think you're gonna see the obvious, hopefully not the obvious dark black pen lines, because that's what I don't want to happen. I don't want to make it look like an outline of a tree and then a tree filled in. So that's why I'm going to go with this Pitt pen for this particular painting. So we'll see how that goes. All right, I think this sketch is done, or rather the sketch onto the tracing onto the tengucho is done, ready to embed into this background. And I think you may have noticed when I was taking off the blue tape, it did rip some along the edges. So just word of caution, be careful where if you're taping this down, be careful where you tape it because the edges will tear. It's such thin paper. And I also have a couple of holes in the sketch itself, or in the drawing itself, where the pen kind of skipped over and tore the paper just a bit. I don't think it's going to be a big deal, but I just thought I would point that out to you all. I was tracing it with a pretty fine tip, harder type of tip pen, and I also grip my pens tightly. A really bad habit. I've done it forever and yeah, can't break it. So just word of caution with this paper, because it's so thin, it will tear easily. However, because it's so thin, it's going to embed really easily into this background. And I'm not completely done with this background yet. I have to run out and get some copies made. Our printer is acting up, unfortunately, so I have to run out and get some copies made of some words that I want to transfer down onto this background, hoping to do that either later this afternoon or first thing tomorrow morning. And if I can talk Mr. Cook into going with me, then I'll record the drive, because it's a really pretty road where I need to go to get these copies made. So we'll see if I can talk him into going with me. But in the meantime, I will see you in the next studio session or along that drive, hopefully very shortly. For you all, it will definitely be just a few moments, but we'll see you then. Morning all. I went and got the copies made, which hopefully you've seen yesterday, and I have decided to switch gears or change my mind just a bit here in the studio. And I'm going to put down the tree drawing that I did yesterday first onto this panel, really make sure the background is completely done, and then transfer the copies onto the panel, or the words onto the panel. And that is because if I heat the panel up and put too much, not too much, but if I heat the wax up and it melts ever so slightly, the words will just kind of obliterate. And I don't want that to happen. I want to be able to maybe cover them up slightly here or there if I choose to. But if I reheat them up a lot, then they will just kind of blur and they won't look like words anymore. So I'm going to put this tree drawing, embed this tree drawing down first, kind of really make sure everything is done with the background, maybe tweak a few areas, and then possibly get these words down today. And then later on in the video, hopefully, fingers crossed, I will complete the tree bark and the tree itself. But today's plan is just to get it embedded and the background pretty much wrapped up. All right, I'm gonna flip the camera around and kind of show you what I'm talking about, but that time lapse took me probably about 30 minutes. So this embedding, even this really thin paper into these panels takes some time. So if you've never done this before, definitely take your time because you don't want to overheat the wax in one area. And I find, since I mainly use the torch a lot, I find that sometimes the heat gun can be a little bit more problematic for me when I leave it over one area for an extended period of time. So I hope you could see in that time lapse, I'm just constantly waving that heat torch around the entire panel. And I have my heat torch turned down, like as far as the blower goes, it's on the lowest setting, and then the heat is turned down to maybe about the middle setting. You're just going to have to experiment with whatever heat gun you have to see what works. But what you don't want to do is create these hot spots in your painting, because that will create like divots and holes, and it won't work out nicely. And the other thing you definitely want to make sure is that this entire thing is embedded down. And so I'm going to flip the camera around and show you. That's also why I use a metal spoon, because it also conducts heat and kind of helps me press down certain areas. Again, you don't want to leave this really hot spoon in one area for an extended period of time, or you're going to cause a hot spot and like a hole almost in your painting. So let me flip this camera around and show you kind of what it looks like when it's embedded and what it looks like when it doesn't. Because the other thing is you want to use like all of your senses. You want to use all of your senses. So like I touch the painting a lot to make sure like you can really feel where an area is not embedded or is embedded. You can also see with your eyes. And then of course, you don't want to make sure you're not smelling any fumes or any smoke or anything like that, because you're heating the wax up too much then. But at any rate, let me flip the camera around and I'll show you. All right, I hope you can see this area is not embedded down. It looks a lot cloudier, if you will, and this can easily also get pulled up in this area. I'm not going to pull it all completely up because it is embedded down in other areas and I don't want to rip it. But you can see this is embedded. Portions of this are, some of this is still a little cloudy, and if I run my hand over it, I can feel it has a little bit, it's not like the smooth wax finish. That's going to be hard to see in video, but I think you can see this line here, what's not embedded, or what's not embedded on this side and what is embedded on this side. Hopefully you can tell. And again, this over here is not embedded, slightly different leaf color. This is embedded. So hopefully that makes some sense. I'm going to maybe stick you not on time lapse and attempt to embed this down and get a decent view of it. And also I should say what I do, hang on, let me flip the camera around and talk to your face here. All right, when I'm heating this up, I try to get down almost eye level to the painting, because you can really see the wax start to gloss over a bit, and that's how you know you've heated it up enough. So then move on to the next area, because again, you don't want to overheat it. So once it kind of starts to get a little bit glossy, glassy looking, move on to the next area. And then you can come back to that area once it's cooled back off a little bit and reheat at any areas that haven't been completely embedded. So just a little tip there. Hopefully I'm going to try to catch that with the camera, but we'll see. You might also be in the way of the heat gun. See what we can do here. All right, once the tree is completely embedded down, I also went back over it with a very thin layer of the clear encaustic medium, and then went back over that layer with the torch just a few times just to make sure everything is completely fused in, embedded into the wax, and I have like a pretty smooth surface. That's the other thing I wanted to point out. As far as embedding papers into encaustic paintings, or anything really, if you have a highly textured surface, you can see how much harder that's going to be to embed that in there versus a more smooth surface, because you know all the nooks and crannies of that texture, it's going to be a lot harder to get something embedded into the painting. So if you're trying to embed something in, whether it's paper or fabric or anything, try to start with a relatively smooth surface. That'll help you out a lot when you're trying to embed it. It'll make the embedding process a lot easier, I should say. So I think the tree is embedded. I think I'm trying to decide what I might start putting brown down on the tree trunk. I think that's what I'm gonna do next, maybe. Let me flip the camera on and show you while I think about this decision. All right, it might be really hard to tell from here. I don't know if you can see the tree in the camera or not, but if I get more close up, you can definitely see it. So fully embedded, the leaves look still nice and crisp and clean. And I'm debating whether to add the words next or start the tree trunk. I might start the tree trunk, and I'll flip the camera on and tell you why. All right, these are the two sketches or examples of the tree bark for the tulip poplar that I have done, and this is kind of what I'm going for. Obviously on a smaller scale here, but I put this brown color down and this Titan buff color down first before I added these black lines in, and I did this with a paintbrush. And the reason I'm telling you all of this is because I need to be, if I'm painting the encaustic paint down versus using the encaustic writer, I need to be able to fuse that encaustic paint to the painting. And so I think if I went to put these words down, I put those down first and then tried to kind of fuse around them, I'd be afraid again that they would blur and kind of obliterate into the background, which I don't necessarily want that to happen. So I think I might put some of this brown and this Titan buff paint down first, and then maybe the words next. We'll see how far we get along today. right, this is nowhere near done. However, it is several steps closer to being done. But I need to get out the tiny little wax writers to finish up the details on this tree. So I'm gonna put it on pause for today and pick it back up. I don't know if I'll get back in here tomorrow or when I'll get back in here, but I'll pick you back up when I do. So we'll see you then. Oh, I'll flip the camera around and show you where I'm at with this too. All right, so I think you can see, definitely need to fill in these tree branches more. There we go. Now it's focusing. Definitely need to fill in these tree branches more, but I got some of the text put on here and some of the tree filled in, and not anywhere close to where it's being, it's done. But I think it looks pretty good. Pretty good so far. So anyways, see you in a few seconds. Morning all. The plan for today in the studio is to hopefully get this painting done. If not completely done, but pretty much the majority of the way there. So I have the electric Kistka out, along with the temperature regulator, got the wax turned on, everything is plugged in and warming up. And I'm going to try to get these really thin tree branch areas done with this electric Kistka, hoping that's going to work out. Because I think the paintbrushes are going okay, as you saw previously, but I think I want to get even thinner lines with some of this area. So I'm going to try this out and see what happens. All right, I thought I'd show you the setup just in case you're new around here and haven't seen me use this tool before. And then I'll probably stick you up on time-lapse mode while I try to get some more of this tree area filled in. And you can see, hopefully you can see that. I think so. There you go. Some of those branches are, they're real skinny. They're just like little tiny pen lines. So I'm hoping this works out. But at any rate, this is an electric Kistka. It's meant for Ukrainian eggs. And I got it from a shop on Etsy. And I think if it will focus on that, this tip is where the wax comes out, so it's really teeny tiny little tip. Now, because there is on the cord that comes with it, there's no way to turn the temperature up and down. So I have it hooked up to a temperature regulator so I can turn this power down so as the wax doesn't get too hot and smoke in there, because you don't want that to happen. So if you have something electric that doesn't have a temperature control on it, you're definitely going to want something like this to help you control the temperature so you don't end up burning your wax and possibly breathing in toxic fumes. Okay, then over here I have my griddle turned on. Because that is such a teeny tiny little space to put wax in, I'm going to melt it on the griddle. So I'm going to get like a little pile of wax here on the griddle and then drip it into that hole. And this way the wax will kind of already be somewhat pre-melted as well, which is helpful. And then I should be able to drip it into that hole. right, all. I think I'm going to take a quick break for lunch. Maybe come back and look at this one more time. But I think it's done, but I just want to step away briefly, come back with a fresh set of eyes, either later this afternoon or first thing tomorrow, and take a look at it one more time. But I will flip the camera around and show you the final results as of right now. And yeah, I'll pick you up when I decide if it's completely done or not. Morning all. After standing back, looking at this painting again this morning, I think it is done. Well, not I think, I know it's done. I'm really, really happy with how it came out. And so I'm gonna take the tape off and call this one done. I have to hang, I have to wire it and still, but other than that, I'm gonna call it done after I get this tape off. All right, it is finished. I'm gonna flip the camera around and show you this one more time. I pulled out, because I was gonna stick some things away in the folder that I had for this particular tree, the tulip poplar. And as I was putting stuff away, it reminded me of kind of where this all started from. So I'm gonna flip the camera around and show you, because I don't know, sometimes I'm just amazed that you can, you know, you have this tiny seed of an idea and things don't work out, and then the few things do, and before you know it, you have a painting. I mean, that sounds a lot simpler process than what it actually is, but I don't know, it still amazes me that you have this tiny little idea and then you can really just propel that idea into this wonderful painting. So I'm just, yeah, always amazed when sometimes these paintings come out just the way I kind of had envisioned them, even though there were some few bumps in the road. So anyways, let me flip the camera on and show you. All right, so I don't know if you remember, but this I think was one of the first sketches I did. And then I sketched out some of the bark, attempted some leaf prints that did not come out at all, and some of the bark sketches came out way better than others. And then of course I did some leaf drawings and refined the sketch a bit more. Still, leaf prints still aren't coming out great. And then I applied some encaustic paint, did a sketch with encaustic paint on the bark. Did some more leaf prints that did come out, and then that is the final result there. And like I said, I'm really happy with how it came out. Added the wording in, of course. I think I brought Matt over here the other day, and he said it's like the little mini tree series that I did of West Virginia trees. I just kind of turned it into a bigger painting. Maybe a little bit more refined, but yeah, I'm just really happy with how it came out. And let me try to get a close-up if that camera will focus. There we go. There's a close-up of some of the bark detail. Yeah, just really happy with how the whole thing came out. Hope you guys enjoyed it as well. And if you did enjoy coming along on this painting video, please give it a thumbs up. It truly does help me out. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them down there below in the comments, and I would love to know what you all are working on. Are you working on tree paintings? animals, abstract? I don't know. What are you painting? And is it coming out like what you thought it would in your head? So anyways, thank you again so very, very, very much for coming along. Truly, truly do appreciate it. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. I've got more painting videos coming your way soon. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.